Happy birthday, belated or early, to you or someone you know. I'm still waiting for the 3 short blasts indicating the all clear, due around Easter 2020, and so have been watching a lot of TV lately, and my brain has been turning into grey fetid mush. So I'm talking about psychics this time. Psychics, or rather shysters pretending to have psychic abilities, either know about the person they're reading beforehand, which is hot reading, or they make high probability educated guesses about someone who they've never encountered before, which is cold reading.
What do I see for you twins? And a husband.
Two baby.
The husband better
people.
come first, right? The husband better come first.
Okay. Do you see the husband first? In 1 year?
That usually works like this. You prime the person you're reading to want to listen by giving them some sort of compliment about them having a rosy future. Then you start with the general statements as a way of fishing information. There's an old person in your family who is dead. I'm seeing an M or a J or an O or a K.
A M, is it a male or female M? I don't know.
They gave you something once that is very special to you. I'm seeing photos of you or someone else. A girl, a boy, a girl. As they talk to the person they're reading, they watch their body language and facial expressions closely and lead them to giving them something in a way where someone who wants to believe might not realize this at all and attribute the psychic's deductions to actual paranormal ability.
Or is there somebody about ready to do something new with their vehicle?
In the next, year, yeah.
But you're already starting to talk about it now.
Yes.
Yeah, because he's making me feel like I'm with you while you're having the conversations.
When I was a bit younger, I went to Blackpool on a beer and roller coaster weekend. And one of my friends insisted on visiting a beachside psychic, and I insisted on being ambivalent. So I ended up sitting in. And oh, what a lesson in cold reading that was. £10 for 10 minutes. She looked him up and down, looked at his biceps, looked at his enormous pecs, looked at his beer gut and said, "Steve, I think you work out a lot." And he was impressed by this. And he was getting pretty annoyed because there'd been 8 minutes go by, there was only 2 minutes left, and all she'd really told him was like, "Yeah, you're cool, everything's cool, don't worry about it. 2 minutes, but she's a fortune teller, so what's my actual fortune?" So again she looked him up and down, and she saw what was obviously a military tattoo. So, because this is how it works, people need to hear what they want to hear, she decided to make his day and say, "Ooh, your future, you're going to be a major." And Steve found this quite hard to reconcile because he was in the Navy. As she might have gleamed by the fact that the tattoo was an enormous anchor surrounded by a mermaid's gigantic breasts. With the words, "I am in the Royal Navy," on top of it. Tastefully done, so covered the nipples. So, wasn't a problem at weddings or anything, because it was on his face. So, anyway, I still think that factored into his later decision to transfer to the army. He always denied that, but I think he was pursuing his destiny. As if he was going to make major. He wasn't even a corporal when he transferred to the army. It's like, you're 35, Steve. You're a corporal. If it's going to happen, it would have happened by now, dude.
They use symbolism as a means of connecting and relaying information.
I don't especially think it's necessary, dear reader, to explain the charlatanism behind psychics. There has been quite an effort by scientists and neutral observers to ascertain whether anyone does have psychic ability, and the people not caught trying to scam things are always concluded to have no paranormal ability whatsoever. I've heard some people call professional psychics grief vampires, who exploit people who've suffered losses for fame and fortune.
If we were to take a cockroach, we had a cockroach right here.
Others defend them as perhaps not psychic, but offering real relief, like the soothsayers of old. There are a number of TV psychics, like this fellow here, a regular evil Mikester classer, Thomas John, who has a show where he apparently picks up random people and gives them a reading. Weird.
God gives different people gifts, you know?
Except the people he picks up all applied to be on a game show, filled in paperwork about themselves before they got into his car, and have their hour-long journey edited down to minutes. Look into any of these TV psychics, and you can find the bullshit. The skeptical view is that psychics, or people who claim to be psychic, are either deluded or conning people, or a bit of both. And I don't necessarily disagree, but for me, more interesting than how these people cold read is the philosophical implications of what they're setting up. I mean, what if there is another side? How does it work? Is death like a forever slumber that you're just shaken out of every so often by relatives, and slowly but surely that stops happening because eventually there's no one left who remembers that you were ever alive, and you might have as well been always deaded. Uncle John, could you talk directly to me in the future so that I don't have to get the bus to this person's house and pay them £300 to light joss sticks, please? Yeah, it doesn't have, you know, you can talk to me on Twitter, in my DMs. My DMs are open. My DMs are open, that's what they say, isn't it? Why does no one ever ask these spirits meaningful questions? It's always about peace, or, oh, don't worry about the money, or anything like that. Listen, Uncle John, I'm sorry that you're dead, alright? But I don't really want to hear your opinion, because surely you realise now that you're dead that you weren't anything special, Uncle John. You were a bit of an arsehole, to be honest. So could you get me in touch with somebody who does know something interesting, and I would like to talk to them, if that's at all possible, please. Is there a heaven? Why aren't you in heaven? If the Earth is going around the sun continuously and the sun is moving through space continuously, why aren't spirits left behind? Are spirits affected by gravity? What is the great attractor? Tell me that, Uncle John. Kind of like the picture that they paint because they can't be bothered to do the world building needed for such a lie is really rather bleak. Like what, so I die and then I just roam around forever? Like, can I opt out of that? Can I just die? What if I'm 90 and I die? Am I going to be 90? Can I be a younger me? What about babies? What about spirit babies? Are we just going to be constantly walking over, oh, that's a caveman baby there. Yeah, it's been there for 150,000 years just crying. Other spirits trying to pick it up. It's just, oh, that's not happening. It's just crying. Or does that get a choice? Can that grow up? And if it can, I mean, like it's a baby. So are you going to say to it, baby, sorry you're dead, but hey, what age do you want to be? 20. And then it gets to 20 and it realizes, oh, this is shit. I want to be 30. Well, it made that decision when it was a baby. I mean, give it a break. Can it have two decisions? Can it get to 20 and then renegotiate? I want to know these things. Something like 100 billion people have ever lived, so is it crowded? I mean, that's just people. I mean, what about all the countless ancestors? I mean, are there, you know, sort of ape-like men around there? Is there a cutoff? Or does it just all go all the way down to amoeba, like there are spirits for amoeba? It doesn't make any sense. Who shot JFK? Where do all my socks go? Is teaching children that they can hear and see spirits essentially just child abuse? Ooh. But if I could talk to dead people, I wouldn't think, oh yeah, I'll make £300 of this, of doing this, like really stressful, like, oh, thing. Like, I'd just do that for free. Oh yeah, you want to talk to your dead friend? Yeah, I'll talk to them. Yeah, I'd make my money from, well, I've got access to, you know, every dead banker. I've got access to every dead person who ever existed. I'll get some good advice. Socrates, what do you think about Bitcoin? Does anybody speak Greek? And English. And English. God.
Yeah, and I see the person with kind of hair cut up like this.
Like a mushroom cut?
Yeah, a mushroom cut.
Like a
Do you
bowl
know
cut?
anybody like that? I'm getting a man, like kind of like Drake had at one point.